The emergency signal cut through space like a scream. Ambassador Tilwyn's hands shook as she recorded the message. Behind her, the city burned. The Kreth had arrived 3 days ago, and now half her world was gone. "This is Valia Prime," she spoke into the transmitter. "We need help. Anyone who can hear this, please. The Kreth are killing us. We cannot stop them. Please help." She sent the message everywhere. Every frequency, every channel. The Valian people were gentle. They had never fought a war. Their world had no predators, no storms, no danger. They grew food and made art and sang songs. Now they were dying, and they had no idea how to fight back. The message traveled through space for 2 days. Most species ignored it. The Kreth were too dangerous. Getting involved meant death. Better to stay away and mourn the Velians later. Then, the message reached Earth. Captain Tay Quan was drinking coffee when the signal arrived. He was on the bridge of the UNS Indomitable, a massive warship floating in orbit above Mars. The communication officer called out, "Captain, we have a distress call. It's coming from the Velian system." Tay put down his coffee. "Play it." The bridge went quiet as Tilwyn's voice filled the room. By the end, several crew members looked angry. One looked ready to cry. "Sir?" the communication officer asked. "What do we do?" Tay didn't hesitate. "We respond. Get me Admiral Wu." Within minutes, Admiral Wu Sung's face appeared on the screen. The old man looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. He listened to the message, then nodded slowly. "The council will tell us to wait," Wu said. "I know," Tay replied. "They'll say it's not our problem." "I know," Wu smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "How fast can you be ready?" 2 hours. "You have one. I'm mobilizing the first expeditionary fleet. 18 ships. We leave as soon as everyone's ready." Tay felt his heart beat faster. "Yes, sir." The call ended. Tay turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. We're going to war. Everyone to battle stations. We launch in 1 hour." The Indomitable came alive. Engineers ran to their stations. Weapons teams loaded missiles. Medical staff prepared the infirmary. The ship hummed with energy and purpose. Commander Hana Choi arrived on the bridge. She was the strategic officer, the person who planned their battles. She looked at the star charts and frowned. "The Velian system is 17 light-years away," she said. "Even at maximum speed, will take 72 hours to get there." "Will they last that long?" Tay asked. Hana didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew the Velians were probably dying right now. "Tell me about them," Tay said. "The Velians." Hana pulled up information on the main screen. Images of Velians appeared. They looked fragile. Thin bodies, large eyes, smooth skin. They stood maybe 4 feet tall. "They come from a garden world," Hana explained. "Gravity is 0.6 of Earth normal. Their atmosphere is mostly nitrogen with less oxygen than we need. Their world has no predators. No dangerous animals at all. They've never experienced violence until now." "How did they even join the Galactic Council?" someone asked. "They're brilliant scientists," Hana said. "They've created medical technology that saved millions of lives across the galaxy. They're artists, teachers, healers, just not fighters." Tay looked at the images. These people needed help. That was enough. "What about the Kreth?" he asked. Hana's expression darkened. "Bad news. The Kreth are a hive mind. Parasitic organisms that consume other life forms to grow. They turn their victims into more Kreth. They've destroyed 6 civilizations in the last century. How do we kill them? Overwhelm their regeneration. They can heal from almost anything, but not if you destroy them completely. Fireworks, vacuum works, kinetic weapons work if you hit hard enough." Tay nodded. "Then we'll hit hard." Around Earth, the human fleet gathered. 18 ships, each one built for war. Humanity had only been in space for 100 years. They'd only met aliens 3 years ago, but they'd built their ships the way they built everything: tough, practical, and deadly. The ships were named after human virtues and human anger: Indomitable, Retribution, Vigilance, Fury, Defender, Justice. Each one carried weapons that made the Galactic Council nervous. On the flagship Retribution, Admiral Wu addressed the fleet. His message went to every ship, every crew member. 3 years ago, we met the galaxy, he said. They called us dangerous. They called our world a death world. They said we were too violent, too aggressive, too frightening. They were right. We are dangerous. We are from a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived by being stronger, smarter, and tougher than anything that wanted to eat us. He paused. Now someone needs that danger. Someone needs that violence. The Velians are dying. They sent a message asking for help. Most of the galaxy ignored them. But we don't ignore people in trouble. That's not who we are. We're going into a fight we might not win. The Kreth have destroyed species stronger than us, but we have something they don't. We have each other. We have courage. We have the blood of survivors in our veins, and we have a promise to keep. 72 hours from now, we're going to show the Kreth what happens when they attack innocent people. We're going to show the galaxy what humanity means, and we're going to bring those Velians home safe. All ships, prepare for jump. We leave in 5 minutes. Across the fleet, crews ran final checks. Engines powered up. Weapons came online. Shields activated. Tay sat in his captain's chair. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were good people, brave people. They were about to fly into hell for strangers they'd never met. That made him proud. "Captain," the navigation officer called. "We're ready." "All ships report ready," communication added. Tay took a breath. "Then let's go save some lives. Engage hyperspace drive." Space twisted. The stars stretched into lines. And 18 human warships vanished, racing toward a distant world where people were dying and hope was fading. They would arrive in 3 days. For the Velians, every second was agony, but help was coming, and it was bringing fury with it. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Velian system. What they saw made even the veterans go quiet. "My God," someone whispered. 17 defense stations floated dead in space. Their metal hulls were torn open like paper. Bodies drifted in the void. And everywhere there were Kreth ships. Lieutenant Yuri Nam stared at his screen. He was the xenobiology specialist, the person who studied alien life. Right now, he wished he'd chosen a different career. "Captain Tay," he said quietly. "I'm reading over 3,000 Kreth bioships. They're swarming the 4th planet." "How many Velians are left?" Tay asked. Yuri checked his readings. His hands trembled. "Best estimate, maybe 40 million. They started with 90 million 3 days ago." The bridge went silent. 50 million dead in 3 days. "They're not just killing them," Yuri continued. His voice was tight. "They're consuming them, converting the biomass into more Kreth. Every Velian they kill makes them stronger." Admiral Wu's voice came over the communication channel. "All ships, battle stations, we're going in." Tay stood up. "You heard the Admiral. Weapons. I want firing solutions on the nearest Kreth ships. Helm, take us in, full speed." "Sir," his first officer said carefully, "there are 3,000 of them and 18 of us." Tay looked at him. "Then we'd better make every shot count. Engage." The Indomitable surged forward. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet followed. They were outnumbered, outgunned, probably going to die. They didn't slow down. The Kreth noticed them. Bioships turned toward the humans. These ships were alive, grown instead of built. They had teeth and claws and acid weapons. They looked like nightmares. "Kreth ships are approaching," Tactical Officer Jin Park announced. 40 contacts. They're accelerating." "Let them come," Tay said. "Charge main guns. Prepare missiles." The distance closed. 5,000 kilometers. 4,000. 3,000. "Fire," Tay ordered. The Indomitable's weapons spoke. Missiles streaked out, each one carrying a nuclear warhead. Railguns fired metal slugs at a fraction of light speed. Plasma cannons burned holes in space. The Kreth ships vanished in fire. "Direct hits," Jin reported. 40 targets destroyed. But more were coming. So many more. "Evasive maneuvers," Tay ordered. "Don't let them surround us." The Indomitable twisted through space. Kreth ships fired acid sprays and bone projectiles. Most missed. A few hit, splashing against the shields. Shields holding at 90%, engineering reported. Captain Hana Choi's voice came over the fleet channel. She commanded the destroyer Vigilance. Retribution, this is Vigilance. I have a clean shot at that cluster near the moon. Permission to engage? Granted, Admiral Wu replied. All ships, support Vigilance. Let's clear that cluster. 5 human ships moved together. They fired as one. The Kreth cluster exploded in a wave of destruction. 100 bioships died in seconds. On Valia Prime, Ambassador Tilwyn watched through a telescope. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The humans fought like nothing she'd ever imagined. Their ships moved at accelerations that should tear them apart. Their weapons released energy that looked like small stars. "What are they?" her assistant whispered. Tilwyn didn't answer. She was too busy crying with relief. In space, the battle raged. The humans were outnumbered, but they fought with a ferocity that shocked the Kreth. Where the Kreth expected retreat, humans advanced. Where the Kreth expected fear, humans showed rage. Tay's ship took a hit. The whole vessel shook. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Damage Control reported. "Sealing now." "Casualties?" Tay demanded. "2 injured, no deaths." "Keep fighting." The Indomitable fired again. And again. Each shot found a target. Each target died. But there were so many Kreth. "Captain," Yuri said urgently, "I'm detecting a large biosignature. It's huge. I think it's a Kreth battle form." The screen showed something massive rising from the planet. It was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons. Surrounded by smaller Kreth ships like children around a mother. "That's their hive queen," Yuri said. "If we destroy that, the whole swarm will weaken." "Then that's our target," Tay said. He opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, we have a priority target. The big one. Hit it with everything." Admiral Wu's voice was calm. "Confirmed. All ships, focus fire on the battle form. Don't hold anything back." The human fleet turned. 18 ships against one massive monster. They attacked. Missiles flew in clouds. Railgun shots hammered the battle form's hull. Plasma beams carved burning lines across its surface. The battle form screamed. The sound came through radio waves, a horrible shriek that made equipment malfunction. "It's regenerating," Yuri reported. "The damage we're causing. It's healing it almost as fast as we hit it." Hana's voice cut through the chaos. "Then we need to overwhelm it. Give it more damage than it can heal." "How?" someone asked. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I'm going to ram it." "Negative," Admiral Wu said sharply. "Vigilance, stand down." "Sir, it's the only way. If I hit it at 0.4 light speed, that's enough kinetic energy to crack a continent. Nothing regenerates from that." Tay felt his chest tighten. He knew Hana. She was brilliant, brave, and she'd already made up her mind. "What about your crew?" he asked quietly. "They're already evacuating. Escape pods are launching now. I'm riding this one alone." "Hana, tell my family I was thinking of them. Vigilance out." The Vigilance turned. Its engines burned brighter than stars. The ship accelerated. Faster and faster. It became a bullet made of metal and fury. The Kreth battle form saw it coming. It tried to move. Too slow. The Vigilance hit at 40% of light speed. The explosion was visible from 3 planets. The battle form simply ceased to exist. Everything near it vaporized. The shockwave destroyed 200 Kreth ships. And then, silence. The Kreth ships stopped moving. For a moment, nothing happened. Then they turned and ran. All of them. 3,000 bioships fleeing into deep space. "They're retreating," Jin said, disbelief in his voice. "The Kreth are actually retreating." Tay slumped in his chair. Around him, the crew was cheering. They'd won. They'd actually won. But the price? "Search for Hana's escape pod," he ordered quietly. Minutes later, they found it. Hana was alive, unconscious but breathing. Her pod had been far enough from the explosion. "Medical team to the pod bay," Tay ordered. "And someone tell Admiral Wu that Commander Choi is going to be okay." He looked at the planet below. Valia Prime, Still burning, still wounded, but alive. The Valians were safe, for now. On the surface, Tilwyn watched the Kreth ships flee. She watched the human ships take up positions around her world, protecting them. She'd asked for help, and these creatures from a death world had answered. They'd fought against impossible odds. They'd sacrificed themselves for people they'd never met. "Prepare a transmission," she told her assistant. "I need to thank them." But when she tried to speak, all that came out were tears. The humans had saved them, and the galaxy would never be the same. The human fleet settled into orbit around Valia Prime. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Wu read a message from the Galactic Council. He read it twice, then laughed. "What does it say?" Tay asked over the communication link. "They want us to cease military operations immediately. We violated 17 peacekeeping protocols." Wu shook his head. "They're more worried about their rules than the 50 million dead Velians." "What are you going to tell them?" Wu smiled coldly. "The truth." He opened a channel to the council. "We received a distress call. We responded. If that violates your protocols, then your protocols are broken. Fix them." Wu out. He closed the channel. Several crew members tried not to laugh. "Sir," his first officer said carefully, "the council won't like that." "I don't care. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we need supply ships and medical staff. We're staying until this world is safe." On the planet's surface, Major Kai Ro prepared to land. He commanded 300 soldiers, the first ground forces. His transport ship descended through Valia's atmosphere. "Remember your briefing," he told his troops. "The Valians are fragile. Their gravity is lower than ours. Don't shake hands too hard. Don't move too fast. We're here to help, not scare them." The ship landed near the capital city. The doors opened. Kai stepped out first. A crowd of Velians waited. When they saw him, several stepped back. Kai understood. He was 6 feet tall, built with muscle from Earth's heavy gravity. To these small, gentle people, he probably looked like a monster. Ambassador Tilwyn stepped forward. She was braver than the others. She looked up at Kai and spoke in halting English. "Thank you. You saved us. We thought we would all die." Kai knelt down, making himself smaller, less threatening. "You're welcome. We're here to help rebuild, and to make sure the Kreth don't come back." Tilwyn's eyes filled with tears. "Why did you come? You don't know us. Your council told you not to. Why risk your lives for strangers?" Kai thought about that. "Because you needed help. That's enough." Behind him, his soldiers were unloading supplies, food, medical equipment, building materials. The Velians watched with wonder. Medical Officer Mina O set up a field hospital. Within an hour, injured Velians started arriving. Mina worked carefully. Her hands were strong enough to break bones, but she touched each patient like they were made of glass. A young Velian child came in with a broken arm. Mina set the bone and applied a cast. The child's mother watched fearfully. "Will she be okay?" the mother asked. Mina smiled. "She'll be fine. Come back in 6 weeks and we'll remove the cast." 6 weeks? The mother looked confused. "But her bone is broken. That takes at least 3 months to heal." Mina blinked. She'd forgotten. Valian biology was different. Slower, more delicate. "For humans, broken bones heal in 6 weeks, Mina explained. "For your daughter, yes, probably 3 months. I'm sorry. I'll adjust the treatment." The mother stared. "How do you heal so fast?" "Our world was dangerous," Mina said simply. "We had to heal fast or we died." Word spread quickly. The humans were strange. They moved with predator grace, their eyes focused like hunters. They smiled with teeth that could tear meat. But they were gentle, careful, kind. Scout Sora Lim walked through the city with a group of Velian children. They were curious about her. She answered their questions patiently. "Is Earth really as dangerous as they say?" one child asked. Sora pulled out her tablet and showed them pictures. "This is a bear. They live in our forests. They weigh 800 pounds and have claws as long as your arm." The children gasped. "And this is a thunderstorm. Lightning is electricity from the sky. It can kill you if it hits you. More gasps. And this is the ocean during a hurricane. Waves as tall as buildings. Winds that tear down trees. The children looked terrified. One asked, "Why do you live on such a terrible world?" Sora smiled. "It's home. And it's not all terrible. The danger made us strong, made us survivors, made us into people who could come here and help you." That night, Kai's team set up a perimeter around the city. Motion sensors, automated turrets, patrols. The Velians watched the humans work through the night without sleeping. "Do they ever rest?" Tilwyn asked. "Not when there's work to do," her assistant replied. "I heard they can stay awake for days if they need to." Tilwyn shook her head. "What kind of evolution creates that?" "The kind where you sleep, you die." In orbit, Lieutenant Yuri studied his long-range sensors. What he saw made his blood run cold. "Admiral Wu," he called. "We have a problem." "Report." "The Kreth are regrouping. I'm detecting massive biosignatures at the edge of the system. Thousands of ships. Maybe more." Wu's expression didn't change. "How long until they arrive?" 48 hours. Maybe less. Then we have 48 hours to prepare." Wu opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, Combat Readiness Alpha. The Kreth are coming back. This time, they're bringing everything." Tay listened to the announcement. Around him, his crew worked faster. They'd won one battle. Now they had to win a war. "How many ships are coming?" he asked Yuri privately. Yuri hesitated. "Over 2,000. It's their primary hive fleet. They've never committed this many ships to a single fight." "Why now?" "Because we made them angry. The Kreth have been expanding for 1,000 years. No one has ever made them retreat. We did. Now they want revenge." Tay nodded slowly. "Then we'll give them a fight they'll never forget." On the surface, Kai gathered his officers. "The Kreth are coming back. Bigger force this time. We need to fortify this city. Heavy weapons on every roof. Mines around the perimeter. Evacuation tunnels for the civilians." "How long do we have?" someone asked. 2 days. "That's not enough time." Kai's expression was hard. "Then we work faster. Get it done." The humans worked through the day and into the night. They didn't complain, didn't slow down. The Velians tried to help but couldn't keep up. Human endurance was terrifying. Mina treated 3 human soldiers for exhaustion. They'd been working for 36 hours straight. "You need to rest," she told them. "No time," one replied. "The Kreth won't wait for us to feel better." She gave them stimulants and sent them back to work. It wasn't healthy, but they were right. There was no time. Tilwyn found Kai on the city wall. He was looking up at the stars. "You're thinking about the battle," she said. "Yes." "Do you think you can win?" Kai was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. They outnumber us 100 to 1, maybe more. But we'll fight. We'll fight until we can't fight anymore." "Why?" Tilwyn asked. "You could leave. Take your ships and go home. No one would blame you." Kai looked at her. "We would blame us. We don't abandon people who need help. That's not who we are." "Even if it means dying?" "Especially then." Tilwyn felt something break inside her chest. These humans. These terrifying, gentle, impossible humans. They were going to die for her people. "I wish we were more like you," she whispered. Kai smiled. "You don't. Being like us means coming from a world that tried to kill you every day. It means learning that death is always close. It means accepting pain and loss as normal. You're lucky to be gentle. Don't wish that away." Above them, the stars shone. Somewhere out there, the Kreth were coming. An army of nightmares heading toward this peaceful world. But between them and the Velians stood humanity. And humanity had learned a long time ago that some things were worth dying for. The Kreth Hive fleet arrived like a plague. Over 2,000 bioships dropped out of hyperspace in a swarm that blocked out the stars. On every ship, alarms screamed. "Contact," Jin Park announced. His voice was steady despite the fear. 2,300 Kreth vessels. They're moving into attack formation." Admiral Wu studied the tactical display. 18 human ships against more than 2,000 Kreth. The math was simple. They were going to die. All ships, Wu said calmly. Activate Earth Protocol Omega. Tay felt his stomach tighten. Omega Protocol. The insane plan. The one the Galactic Council called suicidal. Confirmed, he said. Omega Protocol active. All crew, secure for combat maneuvers. Earth Protocol. Omega was simple. Instead of forming defensive lines, the human fleet would scatter into the Kreth swarm. Fight from inside. Make every shot count. Accept casualties to maximize damage. It was a strategy built on one fact. Humans were willing to die. Execute, Wu ordered. The human fleet broke apart. Each ship picked a vector and accelerated into the swarm. The Kreth tried to surround them, but the humans weren't retreating. They were attacking. The Indomitable dove into a cluster of 50 Kreth ships. Tay gripped his armrest as weapons fired in all directions. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 9, damage control reported. Shields at 40%. Keep firing, Tay ordered. Don't stop. The ship shuddered with each hit. Around them, Kreth ships died in fire, but more kept coming. Captain, Yuri said urgently, primary weapons are offline. Engine room reports we're losing power. Tay looked at the tactical screen. They'd destroyed 90 Kreth ships, but the Indomitable was dying. How many crew can we evacuate? He asked. All of them, if we start now. Tay made his decision. Begin evacuation, but tell engineering to route all remaining power to the engines. We're going out fighting. The crew moved fast. Escape pods launched from the Indomitable, carrying people to safety. Within 10 minutes, only Tay and a skeleton crew remained. Engineering, he called. Give me ramming speed. Engineering Officer Dong Hyun's voice came back. Captain, the engines can't take that much power. They'll explode. That's the idea, do it. Yes, sir. The Indomitable's engines burned white hot. The ship accelerated toward the largest Kreth hive node in sight, a massive organism covered in weapons and armor. 30 seconds to impact, Jin announced. He was still on the bridge. He'd refused to evacuate. You should have left, Tay said. You stayed, Jin replied simply. Tay smiled. Then let's make this count. The Indomitable hit the hive node at full speed. The explosion destroyed both ships and 300 Kreth vessels around them. It was a wound the Kreth felt across their entire fleet. But the battle raged on. On the planet, Major Kai watched the sky burn. The Kreth were landing. Thousands of them. His 300 soldiers faced an army. Hold your positions, he ordered. Don't let them reach the city. The Kreth came in waves, horrible creatures that looked like insects mixed with nightmares. They moved fast, they were strong, and they didn't feel fear, but neither did humans. The battle line erupted in fire. Human weapons tore through Kreth bodies. But the Kreth kept coming. For everyone that died, 2 more took its place. We're being overrun on the east perimeter, someone reported. Fall back to secondary positions, Kai ordered. Slow them down. His soldiers retreated in good order, fighting every step, making the Kreth pay for every meter. Mina's field hospital was suddenly on the front line. She looked up from treating a wounded soldier and saw Kreth soldiers approaching. Everyone get to the evacuation tunnels, she ordered. Now! The Velian patients ran. But Mina stayed. She had soldiers who couldn't move, humans too wounded to run. She grabbed a defibrillator, the medical device that restarted hearts. It put out electrical shocks. The first Kreth soldier came through the door. Mina pressed the defibrillator against it. The creature screamed and collapsed. Electricity fried its nervous system. She smiled grimly. Come on then, let's see how many of you I can take. 17. Kreth soldiers entered the hospital. Mina killed all of them. By the end, she was covered in green blood and barely standing, but her patients were safe. In orbit, Commander Hana Choi had survived the explosion of her ship. Now she commanded the heavily damaged Vigilance. The ship had no weapons left, shields were gone. But the engines still worked. Captain, her tactical officer said, I'm detecting something. The Kreth hive mind uses bioelectric pulses to communicate. Hana's eyes widened. What happens if we disrupt those pulses? Theoretically, the swarm loses coordination, but we'd need an electromagnetic pulse strong enough to cover the entire system. Hana looked at her reactor readings. The core was damaged, unstable. If she overloaded it, the explosion would release exactly that kind of pulse. Evacuate the ship, she ordered. Captain, what are you? That's an order. Everyone off. Now. The crew argued. They pleaded. But Hana was their commander. Eventually, they obeyed. Hana sat alone on her bridge. She thought about her family on Earth, her mother's smile, her father's laugh. She thought about the Valians below. The children she'd seen, the hope in their eyes. She thought it was a good trade. Reactor overload initiated, the computer announced. Detonation in 60 seconds. Hana closed her eyes. For Earth. For everyone. The vigilance exploded. The electromagnetic pulse washed across the entire system. Every Kreth ship went dark for 17 seconds. It was enough. The human fleet, using quantum-encrypted communications immune to the pulse, attacked in perfect coordination. They targeted the disabled Kreth ships systematically, methodically, without mercy. When the Kreth systems came back online, half their fleet was gone. The remaining Kreth ships tried to retreat. But the humans pursued. They chased the Kreth to the edge of the system and destroyed every single ship. When it was over, the Valian system was silent. On the surface, Kai stood among the bodies. His soldiers had held. Barely. Of the 300 who'd landed, only 73 were still able to fight. The rest were wounded or dead. But the Valians were safe. Major, one of his soldiers said quietly, we won. Kai nodded. He was too tired to speak. Medical teams arrived. Mina was found unconscious in the hospital, still clutching the defibrillator. She'd fought for hours, saved 40 Valian civilians, killed 17 Kreth soldiers alone. She woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed. The first thing she said was, "Did we win?" "We won," the nurse told her. Mina closed her eyes and slept. In orbit, the human fleet counted their losses. 12 ships destroyed, 6,000 crew members dead, another 2,000 wounded. Admiral Wu read the casualty reports. Each name was a person, a human being who died far from home for strangers. He called a memorial service. The entire fleet gathered, those in orbit watching on screens. "We came here to answer a distress call," Wu said. "We came to save innocent lives. We succeeded, but the price was high. 6,000 of our people died. They died fighting. They died protecting. They died doing what humans have always done, standing between the weak and the darkness. The Galactic Council will ask if it was worth it. If saving 40 million Valians was worth 6,000 human lives. I can't answer that. Only the dead can. But I believe they'd say yes. Because that's who we are. That's what it means to be human. Today we mourn. Tomorrow we rebuild. And we remember that we came from a world that tried to kill us. We survived because we protected each other. Because we never gave up. Because we knew that some things are worth dying for. These 6,000 proved that. They proved it with their blood. And the galaxy will never forget. The service ended. The fleet was quiet. On Valia Prime, Tilwyn looked up at the human ships. Battered. Damaged. Still standing. They had saved her people. Lost thousands doing it. She didn't know how to thank them. How do you thank someone for dying for you? But she would try. She would spend the rest of her life trying. 3 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the Great Hall. In the center stood Admiral Wu Sung. He wore his dress uniform. The medals on his chest represented 3 decades of service. The gray in his hair represented 58 years of life. The scars on his hands represented 1,000 fights. The council leader, a tall insectoid from the Centauri cluster, spoke first. "Admiral Wu, you violated 17 peacekeeping protocols. You engaged in military action without council approval. You refused direct orders to stand down. What do you have to say for yourself?" Wu looked around the chamber. 200 species. Most of them had ignored the Valian distress call. They'd let innocent people die rather than risk their own lives. You're right, Wu said quietly. We violated your protocols. We ignored your orders. We went to war without permission. He paused. And we saved 40 million lives. While you were debating protocols, people were dying. While you were worried about proper procedures, children were being consumed by the Kreth. You want to punish us for that? Go ahead, but know this, we'd do it again. The chamber erupted. Some species shouted in anger, others nodded in agreement. The council leader called for silence. You are dangerous, the leader said. Your species comes from a death world. You are violent, aggressive, reckless. You take risks that seem insane to us. Yes, Wu agreed. We are all those things. Do you know why? Because our world tried to kill us every single day. We learned to fight back. We learned to endure pain. We learned to protect the weak. If that makes us dangerous, then maybe the galaxy needs dangerous. A small voice spoke from the back. I have something to say. Everyone turned. Ambassador Tilwyn walked to the center. She looked tiny next to Wu. Fragile, but her voice was strong. 3 weeks ago, my people were dying, she said. We sent a distress call. Almost everyone ignored us, but the humans came. They came knowing they might die. Many of them did die. 6,000 humans gave their lives for people they'd never met. She looked at the council. You call them dangerous. I call them heroes. You say they're violent. I say they're protectors. You're afraid of them. I trust them with my life. The chamber was silent. The Velian Confederation wishes to propose a formal alliance with humanity, Tilwyn continued. We call it the Deathworld Accord. Humans will protect Garden World species who cannot protect themselves. In return, we will share our resources, our technology, and our knowledge, strength and gentleness together, survival and compassion together. She turned to Wu. If you'll have us. Wu smiled. It was a warm smile, a father's smile. We'd be honored. 50 species signed the Deathworld Accord that day. 50 more signed within the month. The galaxy was changing. Back on Earth, Captain Tay Quan stood at a memorial. It was a simple stone wall with 6,000 names carved into it. All the humans who died at Valia Prime. He found the names he was looking for: Dong Hyun, his brave engineer who'd pushed the engines past breaking, and others. So many others. Captain Tay. He turned. Ambassador Tilwyn stood behind him. She'd traveled all the way to Earth just to be here. I wanted to thank you, she said. You saved us. You could have ignored our call. You had no reason to help. But you came anyway. Tay looked at the names on the wall. We had every reason to help. You needed us. That's enough. Tilwyn stepped closer to the memorial. I learned your language, she said. I learned your customs. I wanted to understand the people who saved us. I read about Earth, about how hard your world is, how dangerous. I understand now why you're the way you are. And what way is that? You're survivors, you're fighters. But you're also guardians. Your whole history is people protecting each other. Humans die for other humans all the time. You've just extended that to other species. Tay nodded slowly. My grandmother used to say that the measure of a person is what they do when no one is watching, when there's no reward, when it's just you and your conscience. We answered the distress call because it was the right thing to do. Simple as that. It's not simple, Tilwyn said. It's the hardest thing in the universe, to risk your life for strangers. That's not simple. That's extraordinary. At the military hospital, Mina O was being honored. The Galactic Medical Council gave her their highest award. She'd saved 40 civilians and fought off 17 Kreth soldiers alone. How did you do it? A reporter asked. Mina shrugged. I had patients who needed protecting, so I protected them. Any doctor would have done the same. But you used a defibrillator as a weapon, Mina smiled. I used what I had. That's what humans do. We adapt. We improvise. We survive. Later, alone in her quarters, Mina looked at her hands. These hands had killed. She was a healer. That was supposed to mean saving lives, not taking them. But she'd do it again. In a heartbeat. Because protecting patients was more important than keeping her own conscience clean. Major Cairo, returned to his duties training soldiers. But now he trained mixed species units. Velians learning from humans. Humans learning from Velians. Can they really fight? One of his human sergeants asked, watching the small Velian recruits. They don't need to fight like us, Kai replied. They're brilliant tacticians, great with technology. They can't take a punch, but they can outthink almost anyone. We protect them. They make us smarter. It works. A Velian recruit approached nervously. Major, I wanted to thank you for what you did on my world. My family survived because of your soldiers. Kai knelt down. You're welcome. But we didn't do it for thanks. We did it because it was right. I know. That's why I joined. I want to help others the way you helped us. Kai smiled. Then you're in the right place. Scout Sora Lim became a cultural liaison. She traveled between human and Velian worlds, teaching each species about the other. She stood in a classroom on Valia Prime. Velian children sat at desks, looking up at her with wide eyes. Are all humans like you? A child asked. Strong and brave? Sora thought about that. We're all different. Some of us are strong, some are smart, some are kind. Some are all three. But we all come from Earth. We're all survivors. We're all fighters. And now, we're all protectors. She knelt down. But you're not just people we protect. You're our friends, our partners. We learn from you just like you learn from us. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone. The child smiled. I'm glad you answered our distress call. So are we. Commander Hana Choi survived the explosion of the Vigilance. She'd made it to an escape pod at the last second. Now she was Admiral Hana Choi, commanding the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet. She stood on the bridge of her new flagship, looking at the stars. Admiral, her first officer said, we're receiving a distress call. The Relian system is under attack. Hana didn't hesitate. Set course, maximum speed, and send a message to the attackers. Tell them humanity is coming. What should the message say exactly? Hana smiled. Tell them that if they're smart, they'll run. Because we don't let innocent people die. Not on our watch. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. On Valia Prime, Tilwyn stood on a clifftop. She watched Earth's moon rise in the alien sky. It had been brought here by human engineers. A gift. A symbol of friendship. A small Velian child approached. No longer afraid of the tall human woman standing nearby. Are all humans like you? The child asked Sora, who stood beside Tilwyn. Sora looked at Tilwyn, looked at the rebuilt city below, looked at the human ships patrolling overhead, eternal guardians watching for threats. We're from Earth, Sora said. We're all survivors. We're all fighters. We're all protectors. And now, we're all friends. She knelt to the child's level. Your people saved the galaxy with your medicine and your science. You made life better for billions. We just made sure you could keep doing it. The child hugged her. Sora hugged back carefully. Gently. The way you hold something precious. Tilwyn looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species needed help. Other distress calls were being sent. But now, humanity was listening. And humanity answered. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. When danger comes, when darkness threatens, when the innocent cry out for help, humanity responds. Because that's what Deathworlders do. They survive the unsurvivable. They fight the unbeatable. They protect the unprotectable, not for glory, not for reward, not for recognition, but because it's right. And in a galaxy that often forgot what right meant, humanity was a reminder. The camera pulled back. One human and one Velian and one child, silhouetted against the stars. Behind them, a city rebuilt. Above them, ships standing guard. The Deathworld Accord was more than a treaty. It was a promise. A promise that the strong would protect the weak, that the survivors would defend those who couldn't defend themselves, that no distress call would go unanswered. And as long as humans drew breath, that promise would be kept. The galaxy was safer now, because humanity had arrived, and they were watching.